Yo, what's good, everybody? It's Daniel, and welcome back to this channel. I know it's been quite a while since I put something up here, but have something to talk about again. I'm gonna try to get more videos out on here a little bit more frequently, just because I enjoy it so much. But I mean, y'all could read the title. The moral of the story today is you are a bitch. Now, I want to teach y'all a little about that because I don't just mean to insult anybody who's watching this video. And technically, it doesn't necessarily apply to literally everybody. But sometimes being a bitch isn't such a bad thing. And pretending not to be one is when you are. So, first I want to talk about what a lot of people would think immediately when I say that, which is like being like a real gangsta on that type of timing and stuff, which is, I guess, one way you could interpret it, because I think a big factor of it is there's a lot of fake gangsters out there. Like, I mean, you got people out here that are even famous. You got like Ja Morant, who, hey, bro can hoop like crazy, but he was raised in the suburbs like I was, and only one of us be posted out in the clubs waving guns around. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. And I'm not about that. And that's kind of the point of this video, is to talk about that mentality of like being what you are and embracing it, kind of, instead of putting on a facade and being fake about it, if you feel what I'm saying. So like, if you're not a gangster, don't try to pretend to be a gangster. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to be out here talking about doing or selling no drugs. I'm sober as hell. I'm civilian as hell, and I'm going to be honest about that shit. You know what I'm saying? There's levels to being a bitch. That's how I see it. There's people who are really about that shit. They're not really part of this part of the conversation. There's people like me, and mostly like you, who aren't really about that shit. Which means low-key, by this definition, we're bitches. But we kind of own that shit, and we know it. Like, I'm not going to pretend that I am something I'm not. And then you have the ultimate bitches, the people who aren't about that shit and pretend that they are. Being aware, self-aware, and admitting and kind of just owning that makes you way less of a bitch than the people that try to pretend that they're not that way. So again, you could take that the original way I was saying, like people who be like fake thugs and like fake gangsters and shit. They're more of a bitch than a guy like me who knows I'm not about that shit. Like, sure, by that standard, I guess you could still call me a bitch, but not to the same level. But this also applies to, I phrased it as being about that shit, or about what you're about, because it doesn't just apply to being, like, gangsta. You know what I'm saying? So, like, if you really enjoy something, sorry, I just got really distracted by me struggling to vault that wall right there and getting murked. So apologies for the ass gameplay. This was recorded a while ago, but besides the point. Like, I'll give you an example. My content career, if you can even call it that. I mean, I got this channel. I got the main channel as well. I'm really about that. And my goal is to make that my life. You know, make that my living. And I'm really about that. I dedicate a lot of time to it. But I have other responsibilities. When I'm home, that could be work. When I'm at school, it's school. To the point where I can't really commit full time to it. But if I get the opportunity to, I will. And I will really go to like the end of everything to try and make this successful. When you take it into this context, outside of the gangsta shit context, I'm not a bitch, because I am really about that shit when it comes to my content creation career, or what I eventually want to turn into a content creation career. But then you got some people out here who are equally small, maybe a little bit bigger, maybe a little bit smaller in terms of the creator space, who act like it's really what they want to do with their lives, but don't really do nothing about it. They won't make a video. They won't stream often. They'll stream twice a week. They'll upload videos about as frequently as I have, but you know, I guess I'm a little hypocritical in that sense, because I haven't been able to commit time to editing because I've been committing it to streaming, because I can get more content out that way. But point being, don't lie about what you want out of your life, or how you carry yourself, or how you pursue what you want in your life. If you're really about content creation, again, I'll keep the same example, you gotta show it. Actions speak louder than words. That's a saying that's been around forever. So, like, how are you gonna pretend to be like you're all about this content creator life and it's your main goal in life, but you're not pushing for it at all, you know? How are you that person who loves content creation, who loves streaming or making videos, but you're making a video, like, you're going months without making one, or you're streaming, like, every other week, or just everything is super sporadic. You know what I'm saying? So it's really levels to this shit, and kind of the general point of the video is being true to yourself. I think you were probably able to gather that by now. I think that people just need to carry themselves in an honest way, present themselves in an honest way, because if you don't, you're really just a bitch. I don't know how else to say it. I know it's kind of a incendiary word to use, but I feel like I'm very adamant about this, and I feel like using an intense word to describe it really gets my point across. Like, you aren't living as yourself if you're just lying about how you live your life. If you're Ja Morant, you can just be a tough hooper and just hoop. But he chooses to act like he was raised differently than he was. You know what I'm saying? So, like, and I'm out here in these videos, I'm not acting like the COD gameplay is good. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know I'm sorry at the game, but I'm not gonna like act like, I'm not gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna cook you in a 1v1 unless you're one of my friends, because I am gonna cook you in a one-on-one if you're one of my friends. That's just the truth about it, though, because my friends are also sorry. But but yeah, I feel like sometimes this bitch lifestyle, if you will, of not being about something and pretending that you are, or just presenting yourself in a tougher way than you are, in a different way than you are to impress others, it just like, it almost feels like you have like some kind of self-hatred for your true self. You know what I'm saying? And people need to like understand that and either embrace their true selves or embrace the realization that they gotta change something about themselves. You know what I'm saying? So like, it's kind of like, I think living for others in a lot of ways is not a good thing in general. Obviously, there are exceptions if you're doing something to create for other people. Like, there's an aspect of that to what I'm doing right now. Or if you're helping people as well, that's another story. But if you're living to have a good status with certain people or certain groups of people, as opposed to for yourself and for what you stand for and for what you believe and for what you want, that's the most bitch shit that you could do. I mean, I'm gonna be honest, like, if you're moving like this tough guy, but you were raised in a loving household and had no hardships in your life, and you're just trying to like get into that kind of mindset, that kind of space, be around that kind of people, that's not gonna change the fact that ultimately you are a bitch. And I'm gonna be honest, I think not enough people use this word in the way that I'm using it, because I think it's a motivational way to kind of check in with yourself and reflect on yourself. It's a way to understand yourself and, you know, understand that you are who you are, and there's no need to change that up for other crowds or other people. Like, if you believe something, believe it. Don't act like you believe something else. Don't act like you want something else for yourself when deep down inside you don't, and you know you don't. Maybe you don't know you don't, and you have to think this way to kind of realize that. But that said, you got to live your life for yourself, ultimately. Like, you got to be fulfilled. You got to do what you want to do. You got to enjoy what you enjoy and not feel shame for it. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people just don't live that way. People will try to change the way they act, change the way they speak, change the way they behave, change what they do, change what they strive for, all for like approval from other people. And I feel like other people's approval is ultimately such an overrated thing. Who gives a fuck what another person thinks about you? You know what I'm saying? Like, some people will look at somebody who streams on the side for a hobby and makes videos and makes music like I do and think that shit is cringe, or like be like, oh, you're never gonna make it in that shit. First of all, even if you're right, I like doing it. But second of all, you're not right, and you got to carry yourself with that type of energy. If you really believe that you can succeed, not just in ways that I'm talking about, if you just believe that you can succeed in general in life by living the way you want to live and doing the things you want to do, ultimately you will find some success in living in such ways. So, moral of the story, don't be a bitch. If you have anything you want me to talk about, or anything that you have on your mind, that could be featured in a future video on this channel, you can email me at theonepantman@gmail.com. That'll be in the description of the video as well, and I'll put it on screen right now. And if I think of something else to talk about, I'll be right here, probably with more COD gameplay, maybe some other game, maybe I'll switch it up. We'll see. And I hope you guys are able to hear me out a little bit and maybe understand what I'm getting at. I hope some of y'all relate to my ramblings today. I hope some of y'all find something of value in what I said. And I'll speak to y'all in the next one. Deuces.